Again, we did this one yesterday. We're just going to continue on and do this one again from the start because we kind of we're like, all right, let's get through it as quickly as possible. All right, when they say complete, they want all the sides and all the angles. We know one of the angles, which is 90, which is great because that means that we can use tangent on it. And we know two of the sides. That's great. So where should we start? Where did we start yesterday? I know we did this, but let's go. Where did we start? Yes, sir.
We define the tangent of A.
Okay, so we'll try finding the tangent of A. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. And so we're going to go opposite. What's adjacent to angle A?
X, which would be like CA.
Okay, so we get the tangent of angle A is equal to 8 over X. That seems really difficult, right? Like I don't even have enough numbers to put in my calculator.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
We started a different way yesterday. Let's start with Pythagorean theorem because we were lacking enough information that we're like, okay, let's go back and go, okay, let's start with Pythagorean theorem, which is 8 squared plus a squared is equal to 17 squared. We've got 64 plus a squared. And remember, 17 squared is 289. I'm going to subtract 64 from both sides, and that is 225. Take the square root of both sides, and we end up with a is equal to 15, which gave us our third side. How about now we try, now remember, we've got our three sides. We're going to look for those other remaining two angles. So that's really important. So I'm going to go back to what Marcel said and go to A, and I'm going to try the tangent now. The tangent of angle A is equal to exactly what he said, the opposite over the adjacent, which is 8 over 15. Now, if I put that in my calculator, will it give me an angle?
No.
Why not?
Because
what do we need to use to find an angle?
You need
The inverse of
The inverse. So do not forget this, or you always want to use inverse tangent to find an angle. And again, I'm going to change this in the future, but really the key thing is that you cannot find this angle unless you're using the inverse. If you try to type that in your calculator, it is not going to give you the angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the inverse tangent because I am interested in finding an angle, but instead of writing A here, I'm going to put a number there. What number am I going to put there? 8/15. And now it's a calculator problem. So I'm going to go to my calculator, and I'm going to do the inverse tangent of 8 divided by 15. Oh.
How do you do fractions?
8 divided by 15.
Oh.
So to the nearest degree, tell me what that would equal. It ends up as 20. So here's what you get on your calculator. 28 points, in case you don't have your calculator in front of you, 28.072488694. And since this one will round it to the nearest degree, this is approximately 28 degrees. Now I know we could add them together and subtract to find the last angle, but we're not going to do it that way because I want us to get familiar with using tangent and inverse tangent because these are going to help us a lot. Now, I need to find angle B. So how am I going to find angle B? Yes, sir. Okay, so we need to find the tangent of angle B first. What is the tangent of angle B? Opposite over adjacent, which is 15 over 8. Now, will this, if I type this in my calculator, give me an angle? I have to do the inverse. So that will not, but this will. The inverse tangent of some number will equal angle B. What is the number that needs to be in there? 15 divided by 8. So this is what I'm typing in my calculator right there. Inverse tangent of 15 divided by 8. If I round that to the nearest whole number, what do I get for that angle? How much?
2. Or did I put it in wrong?
Here's why that wouldn't make sense. That this one down here in the corner is 28 and the other one is 2.
Oh yeah, no, that would not.
62. Again, that's why I don't show people on phones because it's like you can't use your phone. I don't even know how to use the phones. I would never use my phone for that. So I hope that, and again, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad if you don't have your calculator. I hope that you are seeing that it's very difficult to follow along without having your calculator. So if you don't have your calculator yet, which you were supposed to have on Monday, if you don't have it now, I would make sure you walk in with it tomorrow, because this only gets worse in terms of using your calculator. It doesn't get harder. It just means that there's more things you have to use. It's going to get to the point where you go, I can't answer any of these questions without the calculator. So you guys were all celebrating using the calculator, and now you go, oh, I can't do that without it. Okay, so there are all our angles and all of our sides. When it said complete, it wanted all of those things, and we got all of those things. We're going to move on to the next one, and this is where it gets interesting. And when I say interesting, I mean fun, and when I say fun, I mean, well, really not so fun. Unless you enjoy this. I actually do kind of enjoy this, and I go, it's fun for me, but at first I realize it's a little stress for you. Let's try this one. Now, can I use Pythagorean theorem to start here? No, why not?
You don't have another number.
I don't have two sides, so Pythagorean theorem is not going to help me out on this one. But I do have one angle. Okay, remember it says find the value of x to the nearest tenth. So really what I'm looking for is x. So let's come up with a way, first of all, of what you think, even if you're not sure. Give me an idea of what you're thinking. Yes, sir.
Well, since there's a 90-degree angle,
Okay.
I would add 90 and 24.
Okay, 90 and 24, which is 114.
And then subtract 114 from 180.
And what do you get? So he's doing 90 plus 24.
Wait, for a second.
66.
Okay.
So we do 180 minus 114, which would give me 66. So this would be 66 degrees. Okay, that's a great start. Now, we still haven't found x, but at least we know some more information. We know the third angle. We're missing two sides. Now remember, you can only do tangent on acute angle, so don't go stand in a 90-degree corner. That'll never work out for you. But something we tried on the last one that looked like we didn't know how to do it is actually how we're going to do it on this one. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to pick a corner, either 24 or 66, just because I want to. I'm going to pick this one right here. And I am going to figure out what the tangent of 24 degrees is. Well, the tangent of 24 degrees is the opposite over the adjacent. So x over 20. So far, so good? Okay, I just need to know that everybody understands what I'm doing right now. Even if you're not sure where it's going, that you understand what I'm doing so far. Okay, tangent, opposite over adjacent. Now, what is our ultimate goal? Our ultimate goal is to find what? X. And we almost have x there, except for there's something slapped onto x that I need to get rid of, right? Like, look at it. I almost know what it is, except for x is not by itself. I need x by itself.
Inverse operation.
What's that?
Inverse operation.
Well, inverse operation, there's actually an easier way to get rid of, I want x all by itself over there. Like if I multiplied by 20 over x, it's just going to end up being 1. I don't want 1. I want to find out what x is. Yes, ma'am?
Can you plug into your calculator just do tangent of 24 and then multiply that by 20?
I know what you did there, but let me say that in a different way. I like what you did, but I dislike the way the order you did it in. But I like everything you did. 100% of what you did is right, but it's not going to make sense if we do it that way. If I want x by itself, would you agree that I could multiply by 20 on this side? It would get rid of the 20, yeah?
Yeah.
So now I have to multiply the other side by 20 as well, right? Because that's how we keep things fair. So if I take 20 times the tangent of 24, it will equal x, which is what we are looking for. So if you go to your calculator and you type 20 times tangent 24 and hit enter, we will figure out what that tangent is. So I'm going to go to my calculator and do 20 times tan 24 and then close that parentheses. To the nearest tenth, what is the answer? 8.9. The answer I got on my calculator looks like this. 8.904573706. To the nearest tenth, Well, this is not going to round up, so it just becomes approximately 8.9. But notice that to get this x, this is going to be a big thing you're going to do all the time. This isn't just a random thing. This is going to be like the hard questions that people are going to go, how do I do that? To get x by itself, I needed to multiply by what was in the denominator. Sometimes you're going to have to multiply by different things to get x all by itself. Our goal was to get x by itself. And we knew that the tangent of 24 was equal to x over 20. We multiplied by 20 to get x by itself. And then we just threw this bad boy in our calculator to figure out what that equaled. And what did it equal? It equaled this, which was approximately 8.9. A lot went on there, right? But nothing horrible. It's just like sometimes you have to look at it a second time and be like, wait, what just happened? Let me just make sure. It's like when somebody does a magic trick, you know, you're like, wait, what just happened? Let me go through the steps again to figure out what happened. And you go, okay, so now it still would have worked if you used 66 degrees. You would have just had different numbers. It still would have ended up as the same answer at the end. You can choose whatever angle you want. If you had chosen the 66, you would have had the tangent of 66 degrees is equal to 20 over x, which is a little bit more manipulation to get things to where you need to. What time is this class out? Oh, good. So let me do it the other way just so I can show you. Now, again, you don't have to do this, but I want to show you how this can get difficult sometimes because somebody's going to ask me this about the homework. Let's pretend I didn't do it that way. Let's pretend I had 66 degrees right here. Okay? So forget about all the red part for a minute. I'm going to do the exact same problem in a different way. So I need to find the tangent of 66 degrees. Well, the tangent of 66 degrees is equal to the opposite, which is 20, over the adjacent, which is x. Now remember that our goal is to figure out what? What is our goal? What was our goal? Is to figure out what? X. But x is in the denominator, and that is tough because if I multiply by something, it will only get rid of what's in the denominator. So watch what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go slowly because I think if you watch it slowly, it'll make perfect sense. I'm going to multiply both sides by x. Why? Because it'll get rid of it in the denominator. I don't want x in the denominator. But I also have to multiply it by it over here. So I get x times the tangent of 66 degrees is equal to 20. Is x by itself? No. How would you recommend, by what you know about algebra, to get x by itself? Yes, sir?
You would subtract the tangent of...
I would not subtract the tangent because these two things are not being added together.
Divide by tangent 66.
Good. We're going to divide by tangent of 66. Why? Because these two things were being multiplied together. So if I divide by the tangent of 66 degrees, it gets rid of it over there, and now we only have x. And now I'm going to go over here and also divide by the tangent of 66 degrees. So x is equal to 20 divided by the tangent of 66 degrees. Now we're going to put this in our calculator, but here's what I want you to do. What you have to understand about fractions is that, like, let's go right now and put this in our calculator. 20 divided by the tangent of 66. 20 divided by tangent 66. We got the exact same thing, right? Like, we've got that exact same thing, the exact same number, because we just used a different angle. Well, when we used a different angle, then our tangent became different and the whole process became different, but we still end up as the same angle. It's still 8.904573706, which still rounds to 8.9. No matter which angle we use, we still ended up there. And I'm saying that because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now. Somebody's going to get stumped on your homework. And when you do, you should come back to this lesson right here, this exact slide. Because you're either stuck on this up here, how do I do that, where x is not in the denominator, or you're stuck on this, where x is in my denominator. And I'm going to say, why don't you just go back to the video and see how we did it. I want you to have something to go back to. It's very easy to want to come to me all the time, but when you're on your own, you go, how do I solve this problem on my own? What did we do? That's the whole point of the videos. You don't have to watch the whole video. Go back to this. You know it's there. What happened when x was in the denominator? What happened when x was in the numerator? Two separate things. All right. I am going to pass back your quizzes to you. A question on the green part.
Why couldn't you just, like, at the beginning, like, when it was just 10, 66 equals 20 over x, why couldn't you just put 10, 66 over 1? and then 20 times 2.
And then how would you do the other part? How would you enter that in your calculator?
I would put,
You would do tan 66, okay, and then what?
and then I'd like, after I get tan 66, whatever that is, I divide it by 20 to the other side and then get x.
But it's not tan, look, it's definitely not tan 66 divided by 20. It's 20 divided by tan 66. The difference between those two things is, would you agree that there's a difference between this and that? There's a difference between those two, right? One of those is 2, one of them is 1/2. Two different answers. You can't just divide tan 66 divided by 20 and expect it to equal the same thing as 20 divided by tan 66. So when you're saying just go here, look at the beginning and do tan 66 divided by 20, that's not how we would do this. X would still be in the denominator in that case. X is stuck in the denominator. We need it out of the denominator, right? That was the whole reason. Whatever was in the denominator, we were multiplying by that. Sometimes it's X, sometimes it's 20. It all depends. So to get rid of that fraction, multiply by what's in the denominator. Did that help? Okay.